All right, so let me tell you something that's not being talked about enough. Shedeur Sanders isn't just out here fighting for a roster spot with the Cleveland Browns. No, what he's really up against is the weight of an entire NFL culture that still doesn't know how to deal with a type of swagger it can't tame. I've been watching closely, and what he's doing in minicamp. It's not just promising, it's straight up elite. We're talking 41 completions on 51 attempts, 9 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a ridiculous 77% completion rate in the 5 media open sessions. That's not your average rookie stat line. That's the kind of performance that should be turning heads in every NFL front office. And here's what makes that even crazier. This guy was a 5th-round pick. Most analysts couldn't wait to label him as overconfident, too flashy, too cocky. They compared his arm strength to Drew Brees and his last season. But if these stats belonged to some first-rounder from Alabama or Ohio State, we'd be seeing highlight loops on SportsCenter every hour. Writers would be calling him the next franchise savior before he even unpacked his bags. But with Shedeur, it's quiet. Real quiet. Maybe a polite nod about his work ethic. Then we pivot to Dillon Gabriel getting comfortable, or Joe Flacco bringing veteran leadership. And it begs the question, why the double standard? The answer's pretty obvious, to me. His last name is Sanders. His father is that Sanders. Prime time. The man who spent his whole Hall of Fame career sprinting past every line the NFL drew, around acceptable behavior. Dion didn't just play football. He changed the culture. He made swagger part of the sport, whether the league liked it or not. And now he's doing it all over again at Colorado, streaming every moment to millions and calling out the entire college coaching establishment. So please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. So when his son shows up in Cleveland with that same bulletproof confidence, of course the NFL doesn't know what to do. They don't want to admit it, but it's there. You'll hear compliments about Shedeur's footwork or his classroom habits, but the reps that matter, the first team snaps, they're still being rationed like family heirlooms. Safe bets are still getting the nod while Shedur's left with the 2s and 3s. And that leads me to the real question. If Shedeur Sanders had a different name, if he wasn't the son of one of the most polarizing figures in football history, would the Browns already be grooming him as the future of the franchise? The stats say yes. The film screams yes. Even Kevin Stefanski can't stop praising him. But the depth chart? It still whispers, not yet. And the league seems perfectly fine with dragging its feet a little longer. But here's the thing, reckonings don't disappear. They just gather strength. And every crisp spiral Shedeur throws in Bereas, pushing us closer to that reckoning, where talent meets the resistance of old-school bias. Let's break down those numbers for a second. That 77% completion rate, that's not just good. That's absurd. Training camp practices are messy. Install periods, rotating receivers, weird scripts. Rookies usually float around 60% while they're still learning the language. Even veterans miss more than you think. So 77%, that tells me Shedeur is already in control. And the touchdowns? 9 of them, in just 5 practices. These aren't gimmies either. He's throwing lasers in red zone drills, hitting 30-yard strikes, dropping bucket passes over defenders' shoulders. Different looks, different reads, all advanced stuff. Meanwhile, Dillon Gabriel's hanging around the high 50s with 3 picks. Kenny Pickett's been conservative, keeping everything short. And Flacco? He's had some moments, but if the pocket collapses, he's toast. Based purely on production, Shedeur is the best quarterback on the field right now. So why isn't anyone shouting it from the rooftops? because doing that would force everyone to admit they got the pre-draft narrative wrong, that all that talk about him lacking anticipation or playing in a gimmicky Colorado system was off. If Sheeter's this good now, what does that say about all the scouts who doubted him? What does that say about the general managers who passed? And let's be honest, some people in the league still aren't ready to admit that Deion Sanders might have been right again. But guess what? Numbers don't care. They're like gravity. They just exist. And they always win. Every time those reporters tweet another stat line from camp, the silence surrounding Shedeur starts to feel less like caution and more like denial. And denial? It's got a shelf life. If this kid keeps stacking up 77% days, it won't matter how deep you try to bury him on the depth chart. Eventually, daylight finds the truth, and when it does, it burns away every excuse the film already torched. Now look, I'm not disrespecting Joe Flacco. He saved a broken Browns team last year, dragged them into the playoffs, gave us all a jolt of hope. Cutting him too soon feels cold, maybe even wrong. The vets love him. He's the steady hand. The old pro. And Pickett. That was a weird trade. Came over from Philly after winning. Oh wait, just kidding. No Super Bowl there. But the Browns gave up picks for him, and we all know how front offices hate admitting they blew a trade, so they're gonna give him every chance to prove he was worth it, Gabriel. He's the scout team's pride and joy. Drafted 2 rounds before Shedeur. Letting him fail too early would mean the whole scouting department has to answer for it. So they're handling him like a fragile investment. Patient, careful. And then there's Shedeur, the disruptor. The guy who didn't cost them anything but already threatens to throw off the timeline for everyone. Too many snaps with the ones, and suddenly you've got a full-blown PR crisis. Because if he clicks, if he lights up a practice with the starters like he did in OTAs, then someone's getting traded or cut. And you can already hear whispers about Pickett maybe heading to Indy or New Orleans. Flacco's name's been on a few lists too, teams looking for a veteran bridge. If either of them moves before Week 1, we'll know who forced that hand. At some point, merit wins. It always does. Shedeur's not just stacking good days, he's stacking evidence. And soon, the front office won't have anywhere left to hide. Now, I saw something the other day that really stuck with me. Flacco and Shedeur, standing side by side, mentor and rookie. Flacco telling stories, Shedeur listening, nodding, soaking it all in. It was wholesome, sure. The kind of thing coaches love to showcase. But under the surface, there's a philosophical divide. Flacco represents the old NFL. Quiet, professional, keep your head down, don't rock the boat. His brand is that he doesn't have a brand. He even said it, adults should have fun in private. That was his little jab when Shedeur teased him about dancing on camera. Translation: if you want to be taken seriously, act like me. But Shedeur, he's new NFL. He streams. He engages. He sells merch. He responds to fans in real time. His generation watched Mahomes win rings and make TikToks. To them, authenticity isn't a side dish. It is the main course. So when you put those 2 worldviews in one QB room, yeah, there's going to be tension, not shouting matches. Just these subtle clashes. Flacco rolls his eyes at a question about social media. Shedeur shrugs, because for him, the camera's always been there. Coaches, many of them closer in age to Flacco, find comfort in that old model. They know exactly what they're getting. With Shedeur, it's the unknown. Even though, let's be honest, the kid's been spotless in the public eye so far. Still, that subconscious bias, that fear of the unfamiliar, it seeps into the grading, into the reps, into the way we talk about who's earned what. But I'm telling you, he's coming. And no amount of delay tactics can hold back what's already breaking through the surface. This isn't just a camp story. This is a cultural collision. And it's playing out in real time, right on the grass, in Berea. All right, let me just say it. When Joe Flacco makes a risky throw, it gets brushed off as veteran savvy. But the same exact play from Shedeur Sanders, suddenly it's rookie overconfidence. When Flacco takes a sack on a pump fake, people say he's just shaking off rust. But when it's Shedeur, he needs to learn pocket awareness. I've been watching this dynamic unfold, and it's becoming more than just football. It's a story about legacy, about mentorship, about passing the torch. Or not. You can feel it in the air at Brown's camp. Flacco, the seasoned vet, is aware of the shifting ground beneath his cleats. He cracks jokes with Shedeur, sure, but there's a look, like a king watching the rise of a young prince who can command millions with just an emoji. I've heard those film sessions between them are electric. Flacco's walking through blitz pickups from the 2012 playoffs, and Shedeur's countering with modern spread option tweaks from 2024. Sometimes, the whole room just breaks into laughter at the generational gap. Flacco will drop a MySpace reference and Shedeur reminds him, "Man, I was 6 when that was a thing." Now here's the part that matters. The Browns are at a fork in the road. They have to figure out, are these two quarterbacks clashing, or is this chemistry? If they get it right, this could be the perfect mentorship story. A veteran passing the playbook to the prodigy. But if they ignore it, and reps start getting handed out based on politics instead of performance, it could fracture everything. I'm talking locker room tension, media scrutiny, and wasted potential. In this league, those transitions, those generational handoffs, they build dynasties. The Browns can either embrace it now or cling to nostalgia until time forces their hand. So, please take 2 seconds to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your support. And then came Colin Cowherd, like a bullhorn in a library. Just 2 weeks into minicamp, he dropped a take that shook the entire city of Berea. He said the Browns stumbled into a star they didn't even want, claimed the front office had eyes on Dillon Gabriel and looked into Shedeur. But now, the kid's outplaying everyone, and Cowherd might be polarizing, but let's not pretend he doesn't have sources. He doubled down, saying his league contacts saw Shedeur looking sharper in private practices than even what fans have seen. His pre-snap reads? Already better than Gabriel's. Gabriel might be steady, but Shedeur brings the wow. And here's the uncomfortable truth coaches won't admit. Media pressure changes things. Yeah, they all say they don't listen to the podcasts or the hot takes, but let's be real. These narratives move ticket sales, spark fan energy, shift player morale. And when a national guy like Cowherd declares Shedeur the best QB in camp, the local media can't just ignore it. They have to respond. And the easiest way to cool that heat, give the kid more reps. Let the field speak. That brings me to the bigger picture. Because this isn't just about one quarterback camp battle, it's about how the NFL handles players like Shedeur. Let's go back a few decades. Deion Sanders didn't just play in the NFL. He exploded into pop culture. Gold chains at team lunch, baseball on Saturday, football on Sunday, dancing on the Cowboy Star, and ratings followed him. But while the owners loved the money, the suits hated the independence. Deion answered to no one. Now fast forward to 2025. Here comes Prime 2.0, his son. Same swagger, but now with media polish, brand fluency, and NIL instincts that leave old-school endorsements in the dust. Some NFL execs see dollar signs. Others see disruption. Because if Shedeur succeeds, he changes the rules. Suddenly, rookies, Might want content deals in their contracts, personal videographers at the facility, freedom to post locker room selfies. And that kind of autonomy, that terrifies the old guard. Stephen A. Smith said it flat out. They couldn't silence Dion, so now they're trying to silence his son. The league doesn't want a quarterback who knows his value before they can put a price tag on him. And let's not ignore it. Race is part of this. The NFL celebrates black excellence sometimes, but only in certain shapes. Russell Wilson? Polished, corporate, polite. Dion? Loud, proud, untamed. And Shador? He's not hiding his flash. He posts celebration edits. He retweets fan memes. He shows off luxury watches. It's not unethical, it's just loud. And in boardrooms built on quiet power, that still shakes the walls. Then there's the pedigree factor. Some scouts don't like that he's Dion's kid. They assume nepotism. They ignore the hours Shador spent grinding. The late-night film sessions he streamed, the NFL-caliber workouts at Colorado. They call him Dion's son, not the 23-year-old bowler who thrives under pressure. And until recently, those same critics had an out. He dominated at an HBCU. Let's see him. Do it in the Power 5. Then he did that. Okay, but can he do it in the NFL? Well, minicamp's here, and the kid is still shredding. So now what? Either they pivot and acknowledge it, or they double down on the doubts and hope preseason exposes him. But that's a gamble. Because every highlight throw Shador drops. This August is going viral. Dion will post it. Fans will meme it. Analysts will dissect it. And the longer the league drags its feet, the worse it looks. Not like evaluation, like fear. If Shador claims QB2 or even QB1 by September, the NFL landscape changes. Suddenly, teams have to factor in charisma, branding, and audience when drafting quarterbacks. NIL stars may rise up boards instead of slipping. Marketing teams will beg for rookies with built-in followers. But if the Browns bury him, it'll be seen as fear. They'll get headlines saying they chose comfort over talent. And other GMs, they'll be circling, calling Andrew Berry like, hey, what would it take to get Sanders in a different uniform? Imagine Shador lighting up MetLife in a Giants jersey. Imagine him running Peyton's offense in Denver while Cleveland settles for mediocrity. Fans won't forget that. They'll roast this franchise for years. Because the NFL sells hope. And Shador Sanders is hope. He's energy. He's future. He's what people want to believe in. If Cleveland fumbles that, it's not just a bad football decision, it's a PR disaster. It'll echo like when Chicago took Trubisky while Mahomes changed history. And if the league tries to muzzle him, Dion won't be quiet. He'll go live on ESPN, pull receipts on Pat McAfee, tweet from the sidelines. He'll make sure the public knows exactly what's going on. And once that narrative sets in, that the NFL benched a star just because of his lineage or his flash, even neutral fans will rally behind him. So what should Cleveland do? Easy. Lean into the merit. Make it a fair fight. Count every rep. Stream the scrimmages. Because transparency kills conspiracy. But that takes guts. Because if Shador outshines the vets on a live stream, you've got to give him the job. And that's the heart of this whole thing. The Shador Sanders story is a referendum on what the modern NFL actually stands for. Are we rewarding performance or protecting pride? Are we building a league that celebrates undeniable talent, or one that punishes players who don't play by the old rules? Because here's what I see. Shador's not earning buzz because of his name. He's earning it because of the throws, the reads, the presence. He's out there every single day showing he belongs. And the Browns, they have a choice. They can stick with the safe narrative, or they can follow what's actually happening on that field. If they bury him, they lose more than a player. They lose trust from the fans, from the locker room, from the future. Because talent like this doesn't wait its turn. It takes it. Shedeur Sanders isn't just the most electric quarterback in camp. He might be the most important rookie story in the NFL this offseason. He's changing the game already. The only question left is, will Cleveland let him finish writing that story? Or are they going to close the book before he's even picked up the pen? Give him the reps. Give him the shot. Prime time may have been too loud for some folks, but I don't think they'll be able to silence his son for long. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time with more football updates.